Hello everybody. Now I've been in digital marketing since 2014 and I've done everything under the sun that you could possibly think of. But when Maggie and I founded Elite Scale Digital, we made a very calculated decision to focus specifically on driving leads and appointments for med spas on meta ads. And when I say meta ads, I mean Facebook and Instagram ads. So in this brief video, I'm going to explain the thought process behind that decision and why med spas should focus primarily on meta if your goal is to generate leads and new patients in your door as quickly as possible, as profitably as possible. So in order to do that, I'm going to break down the pros and cons of some of the most common marketing avenues that you may have considered or even tried at some point in the past. The first and most obvious one is Google Ads. So I'll start with the pros here. The biggest and most obvious one is you're gonna get super high intent leads. The Google Ads system relies on setting up keywords and key phrases related to your business that somebody has to actually physically type into Google in order for your ads to be triggered and shown to that person. That means anybody clicking on your Google ad had to actually type in med spa near me, body contouring near me, medical weight loss near me, etc. That means they're a lot closer to the buy now mindset than somebody just mindlessly scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok that's not necessarily thinking about solving their aesthetic issue in that very moment. So while that obviously sounds great, right? Showing your business to the highest intent prospects possible, you obviously have to pay a premium for that higher intent. So what that results in is a way higher cost per click, or CPC. In the aesthetic space, a lot of times that can range from $8 to $25 plus just for the click. That's per click, not per lead. So that ends up being significantly more expensive than the other options that I'm gonna go over. Another disadvantage, especially for aesthetic professionals, which is so visually focused, is the ads are purely text only. So when somebody sees your ad on Google, they're not gonna see your before and afters. They're not gonna see how beautiful your clinic looks. You have to basically be a master copywriter just to get that super expensive click in the first place. The next option that you may have heard of or maybe even tried is SEO, or search engine optimization. If you're unfamiliar with this concept, it's basically trying to optimize your website to the point where it ranks on the first page or in the first few search results on Google. Basically, instead of having to pay for that placement like you do with Google Ads, you'll show up in the organic search rankings for those same types of keywords. So obviously the biggest pro there is you're getting free traffic. You don't have to pay for it. The problem is you have to wait a long time to see any meaningful traction. Okay, and that's just an estimate, 6 to 18 months to start actually ranking on that first page. That depends on the amount of competition in your area. And there's a big learning curve when it comes to having your website and content optimized to appeal to Google's algorithm, which, by the way, is ever changing. So the best practices that would rank you on the first page of Google today might be radically different 6 months from now, and then you're back to square one. The next platform you might have been considering running ads on is, of course, TikTok. The biggest pro of TikTok is just the massive organic reach potential that it has, and also the cost per lead can be lower. A big con, however, is the reliance on video only. Image creatives just aren't gonna fly. So unless you have a really dialed in process for creating UGC videos on a regular basis, it's gonna be a challenge to get the same type of results on TikTok that you can get right away on Facebook and Instagram with less work for you and your team. Also, while it's becoming more and more popular, obviously, it still skews younger when it comes to the demographics. So there's a smaller pool of your ideal customer avatar using that platform versus Facebook and Instagram. It's also the least mature platform when it comes to generating leads for brick and mortar local businesses. So the targeting isn't as precise, and thus you can end up wasting a lot of your ad budget. And now let's talk about meta ads. So the first thing to keep in mind with meta is it has the most powerful algorithm for running ads on Earth. It's terrifying to think about how many data points Meta has on each and every one of its users. But we as marketers use that data to our advantage and harness Meta's insanely powerful learning algorithm that allows us to get extremely granular with the targeting, and it can find the exact right type of person to show the ads to so there's less wasted budget. It's a highly visual medium where pictures and videos can both work well. So this is perfect if you have strong before and after pictures, if you have a beautiful spa location that you want to show off. It allows you to create scroll stopping content that's going to get people excited about coming into your spa versus just reading a brief bit of text like with Google Ads. Another huge advantage is a super fast feedback loop that you get when you run meta ads. So you'll be able to tell if an ad or an ad set is working within the first few days, and then you can make quick tweaks that can improve the results almost instantaneously. And what that leads to is fastest results possible. So if your goal is to flood your clinic with new patients as quickly as humanly possible, Meta is the no-brainer platform for you to dive into first and foremost. And that is exactly why we focus on it primarily in our service delivery, because we want you to get the ROI as quickly as humanly possible. Now, to be clear, I don't want you guys to think that running Google Ads, working on SEO, or posting on TikTok is a bad idea. Quite the contrary. If you have the time, inclination, and the budget to learn and dive into these other avenues, it can only help you in the long run. But again, if your goal is to get the fastest ROI possible, focus for now on meta ads and then slowly roll out other avenues after you're getting a steady stream of new patients with your meta ads campaign.